We are going to be chatting Tesla right now. That stock is down about a third of a percentage point right now. Now, that stock had been walloped earlier this week. So to chat more all about the electric vehicle company, we are joined now by Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Managing Director. Dan, good to see you and to talk to you again. I first want to start with the snub that Tesla got from the S&P 500. I think a lot of people were expecting that it was going to be included. Why do you think that the S&P 500 said no?
Yeah, and we've talked about that. I mean, that was a shock to the street. And obviously you saw it in terms of the stock reaction. And look, and part of it is that it was viewed that they sort of checked every box. So the fact that they didn't get inclusion from an indexing perspective, you saw a lot of sort of momentum come out of the stock. Look, we do think that they will get in, whether it's next quarter or the quarter after. It's all about that profitability trajectory. Still more to prove in terms of the S&P 500 decision makers. But I think now, at least the stock, we can focus back on core fundamentals in terms of battery day and deliveries, rather than what I view as maybe a bit of an overreaction this week.
So to that point about battery day, September 22nd, I believe, if I'm getting the date correctly, what are you expecting out of that day? And I saw in your note that you were calling it a potential game-changing battery. How so?
Well, I mean, for Tesla, when you think about what differentiates Tesla from every other EV player, domestically, internationally, it's, of course, the brand, the first mover advantage, Fremont, Giga, and, of course, Giga in Shanghai, Giga 3. But it's really the battery technology. And if you look, that's been a huge part of what Tesla's been working on over the last year in terms of battery technology and innovations, whether it's getting toward the million-mile battery, whether it's getting further price parity, which is very significant from a especially when you compare it to traditional gasoline-fueled cars, as well as a third-party battery supplier. And I think part of why Tesla's treated different and valued differently, it's because of everything they've done under the hood in Fremont Giga. And I think once they lift the veil on that for battery day, I view as another incremental catalyst for the stock.
How much of a bad news do you think that could spell for GM and Nikola, which are now partnering? When I think of Nikola, I always think on some level, baby Tesla, obviously coming up after them. But Tesla right now, and has been for a long time, just by and large, way out ahead of all other competitors when it comes to innovation. How much more room do you think this is going to put between them and all the other competitors that are trying to come up behind them?
Look, I think this is a big enough ocean for more than one boat. So I think it just speaks to the overall EV market. When you look at GM and Nikola, obviously a lot of noise this week around that story, but ultimately, I mean, that was really a validation. And it speaks to, you look at GM, I mean, the tens of billions that they're going to spend around battery technology. Right now, it's an arms race in terms of the EV market, not just domestically, internationally. We see it a lot in China as well. And that's why Tesla, they have a target on their back. And it comes down to continuing to differentiate themselves versus competition. That's going to be the key, but all starts with what's under the hood in terms of battery technology.
So I have a two-part question for you, Dan, all coming out of China. You referred to the country as a linchpin for Tesla. I'm wondering if you could talk us through that. But also, too, Tesla is now doing something that they said they would not do, which is exporting cars from China. How is that going to be good for the company going forward?
Yeah, I mean, first, when it comes to China, if I go out next 2-3 years, I think eventually that's 40% overall units. So the reason it's a linchpin, really the heart, lung of the success story of Tesla, because it's about Giga 3 in demand, 4% penetrated, and I think a market that could be 7-8x bigger than what we see in the US. And I think China, if you look, that's really been a core part of the success even during this pandemic, more of a Teflon-like model. In terms of obviously shipping from China, look, it's something where that production has gotten to a point now where that is really a linchpin of the production and manufacturing facility. Now, of course, there's a bit of a margin hit, as you ship from China to other parts of the world. I don't see that as a sustainable trend. I think it just comes down to production at this point is at a point where they're going to continue to do that based on demand in China. But if there's any sort of overflow based on successful production, they'll ship those elsewhere.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.